emergency. One more note. I have an idea now of what you think an emergency is. The more that I think about what it means to me, the more that I feel that it's something that relates to my conception of other people. I feel myself to be in emergency. This means for me that I feel responsible for my friends and comrades who are not keeping their shit together. The feeling of responsibility builds up and accumulates in my head into a kind of metallic grating, a monotonous drone, an alarm. Your phone rings all the time. You are only thinking about the people. It gets worse, so you stay to help. You don't think about the people you have helped, only the ones you haven't, the things you didn't have time to do, end quote. For several years now, I've lost the ability to think. Or it's as though throughout everything I did, and at the core of every one of my ideas, a phone was ringing shrilly and unanswerably, and the noise of that phone was somehow the meaning of whatever it is that I'm trying to conceive of or say. That's what the emergency is for me, you see? And it's only when I see this and understand it that I begin to understand another desire that I felt for almost as long, which is this bewildering need to find in poetry a counterforce of irresponsibility, the fraction of a second inversion where the ringing becomes so loud and so vile that consciousness seems to buckle and split off from itself, and watch with powerless, unperturbed serenity as a new voice emerges and spits itself out from my body, and its words flash with hilarity and a pure physical sensation somewhere between astonishment and relief, like mania, like thin rain falling between buildings in an empty street. Do you feel it too? There's been times in the last months when I've remonstrated with myself and thought of this need as the same will to transgression that defines the worst culture of our period, Groyper will to power. I've come up with all kinds of formulae, but it's not true. The point is that poetry needs to be a response to this terrible noise or pressure in our heads, this sensation building up inside of language that doesn't mean what the words mean. Clearly, it follows from this that we can call it whatever we want. Seizure, political art, sphere music, cream cake. It's all the same. The only thing that characterizes it is you know it when you hear it. My small hand is held in your cavernous fist. I look to the rim of the sky, to where the communal rice barns first appeared. The tree of our heart is for all. You filthy remnant of a world, you small house, you night walkers, you shit of a newspaper, you cold, windy 1st of July. I open my mouth and it melts away like copper. The shine it gets after it's been slept or sweated in. Hard to describe. Like I said, this is my version of the Communist Manifesto. Here are the people I want to protect. If you use your language on them, I'll fucking kill you. Life is very precious, even now. The harpooned whales float around us like dark, empathetic hills. This is mostly quotes. Syllables, like millennials washed up in the unborn imperium. The illegal Ukrainian coal mines shadow our throats with their flip sides. This incinerator of ideologies may be called reality. Its empire is absurd, and its psychically broken youth signifies art. Ropes seamlessly in the mind. Attempt to fall asleep and wake up at metaphors. Holy fuck, you're dumb. Standardise. Travel every day on the metro, thinking of the party that isn't. Everything is filled with a bleak colour, restless change, reality. And though I cannot write a single fucking line of cable able to communicate this power, like foam, tossing, burnt colour, then can't now, not now anyway. Not the restless, oblique colour, not the basal youth NFT metabolism, the graffiti and trash. Now I and you and all of us fall down. And Jakarta, Miami-Dade, 1998. In this world, there are no nights of truth. Two things at once. Some may lose their rights and others are burned out of their houses, but the ground is being prepared for more victims tomorrow. Rheinmetall has risen 30% on the stock exchange in Frankfurt, and Raytheon expects a benefit to its missiles and defense business top line. The values talked about in the media are not our values yet. Don't leave. Rheinmetall has risen more than 30% on the Börse in Frankfurt, and Raytheon expects a benefit to its missiles and defense business top line. The ground is being prepared for more victims tomorrow. But today, people are losing their rights and being burned out of their houses. Now railroads extend in the mire of black tulips. The dawn is missing. The choice between support for Ukrainians and Kurds is boiled and presented in a small box made out of the heat that was, saving Beijing Xinjiang from burning. Thoughts of what happened in former President Trump's vehicle. Let us propose a game of defense. There will be unintended consequences. Now the wind is on fire. Now the wind is on fire. Show me the coffee cups on the bed, the bottles of pills on the sill. Till we die, desire will vomit emptiness and poverty and literature, blessed with stupidity and impatience and baseless paranoia. But keep it chill. The windless archipelago. Okay, the windless archipelago in the palm of your hands reveals itself. And in their apartments, people battled for their life like perishing polar explorers. A letter from the front gives reason for hope. Taught birth of erogenous steel, I'm at the bottom now. I'm learning to live in a new world with my eyes open, even when it hurts. I'm training my senses every day. I'm teaching my hands not to shake, and I'm learning to fight. I'm going to take poppers and die and get resurrected with new beads for eyes and cry a million times and talk about radical politics and never work. The city is beautiful as rain contradicts the window pane, but I forgot to say, the powerless and suffering in the visible world are the active and strong in the invisible one. And I've got wonderful friends. I've cut a lot of people out. I'm going to read books and take photos outside of this idiotic circle, everything that's been bought, sold or rented, even people. All our dead remain young. These tiny model street scenes with their Grenzwachturm and carjackings in which it is no longer possible to stab to death the enemies of our solar system show us it is the openings from another world which remain monsters incapable of love, who climb trees of our hands to see inside another line of stinking poetry, the belt of steel. What do you think? If the lake is an image of the past, of eternal peace or isolation, what will be a belt of gravel between the two main barriers? And in their Range Rovers, the poets are all dying of non-lethal technologies and references to recent political events. Whatever. The state defends culture because it costs nothing to protect. In other words, because it's free. Kick its head in. Kick its hypercholesterolemic head in. You see, anything they can protect at no cost is suspicious. 2 milligram threshold, clean ocean, tetrahydrolinolols, checkmate capital. And I clean my fetal tissue from the bed. But ice season, the giant red ferns grow luxuriantly. The first Google engineers to set themselves on fire. 100 ravenous laws about things you'll never see. A demo that never happened. A bizarre epiphany feeding like cells of a placenta on some more basic truth. 2. The novel of the future. The poem Tar and Black Floodlights Start to Rain is pumped up from the earth in a vast orange ring, moving among the inert metal of pumps and lines and distillation chambers. 0.04% the feeling of oars in my hands. 0.02% the smell of bamboo. If you breathe it in, you become blurred and vicarious. If you read it, hail falls suddenly in the living room. I think so. I like to think so. All the same, I don't want that shit in my mouth, you know. The Communist Party of Ukraine opposed the EU association agreement because it would have entailed the legalization of gay marriage. Surprise, fuckers, you just won a resort holiday in Benidorm and Crete. Paradise is flooded with light from that damn sun and there's no roof on the world. Peleus, let me go to my beer of fire, ascending its scented peak. Peleus, pale pink Peleus. Shit, that's not poetry. Dead ideas appear in elegant garments with no asperity or daring. In my mouth, there are so many things I'm trying to come to terms with. Lively nights on the Algarve's famous strip. Then the drivers of Audis and even of Volkswagens appear. They shit tears into our long and slim abdomens, black tears. It's so hard to talk about it. Fuck it, let's just pick pale pink roses on this high helium drives of this lonely city in this poor neighbourhood no one believes in. It is real with its gravel drives, its long meadows and wide gravel mirage. Nobody exists. There's an EU association agreement that says, I don't want that shit in my mouth, you know. The tears were moving in my abdomen. I looked at them. They leave no footprints in the alien dust, downtrodden grass. Oh, thou sacred ether and thou jaunty wind, you bums. We're in a perpetual state of having to hollow each other out. Nameless things, sell things, emptiness, abuse. This game contains instances of our eyes are perfectly dry. We felt the city had machines trained on us. We could hear their echoing tears move through our abdomens like gas station dick pills. You know, hail falls suddenly in the living room. Nobody is alive. Everybody's abused. It moves through our bodies like ketamine through heavenly domains of negation in torn apart domes of spore cinder. Our abdomens. Prove it. I've got documents. Fuck. It's all so hard to describe. If the flowers are, can you imagine, party members, how will it be in the concrete underpass at the city trains colour, restless change, crawl through Holodomor, snows? It's so hard to talk about. This game contains instances of Treble America hates the contrapasso, upwards in central fire, destroying all depth that comes near him. In my core, Pyre Ur Sperare Dolorum shooting range. Inside the appointed sky slows this naked green Western Toyota Cruiser. Something is wrong. It's true. I cut off my elite wings with a knife, but there's a whole class of us born with this yellow badge. Tar and black floodlights start to rain. I'm touching it over his jeans as poverty materializes out of the floor. Jade dances. At midnight, the slum palace draws near. You have to feel your way. And where we come from, where we go now, the unlovers who pick up the pieces, that's who we are. We have learned that because we were dead then and now not really. In the flame phase of the villanelle, we wrote in the waiting room, a glass ceiling, the uppermost. It's never finished and it never acquires meaning. Don't say that word to me. We have loved, we have lowered, slower like strings of syringed instruments. We have risen these quad bikes through the blue and tan floodlights. And at 6 degrees, the black and white river rises. We are what we are. So here it is. The stage is now bathed in red. The act of clemency is shown in the style of an execution. Oh, my friends. One day I took off my borrowed dress of words and sailed into the ice. I knew that there was a line in it somewhere that would make everything better, but I was sick and in terrible pain. Black floodlights start to rain, and as days slip by in quick succession, I found nothing that I hadn't already written. In red and then silver, silver and then blue, blue and then silver and silver. I wanted to touch the ice, but it said, no, I can't. The giants who fell are trapped. They appear in the sounds of darkness in the house of the enemy. Then I would learn to speak in my own language through the dome, which turns red and then silver, silver and blue. Then tar would fall in the protective dome above the shooting range, fires flaring. Then boats would be tangled in strange banners as their prows appear over mountains of winter. Too many visions, not enough class struggle, and vice versa. But no more journeys. For what you need is right here. Among the wreckage of our destroyed feelings, we find ourselves, our lives are exalted, and we weep. The struggle for freedom shows a torch that still burns in you in spite of your doubts, your uncertainties. For you know that when they try to take from you, not only what you need, but also your desire for it, all doubt is at an end, and we go for the fucking throat. No. The giants who told me this are trapped. They appear in the mountains of darkness and the winter of the palaces. The stage is empty and there is no correspondence between the stars and the dispositions of men. I have long since found the line, though my friends the angels say it is not one of my best. The protective dome in the visible world is nothing but a shooting range in the invisible one. And everything is bathed in silver. Shit tears, you sprained your wings. Grief and joy are holes in this ordinary life. Grey tracksuits falling down our arses. I fingered myself so hard I see stars. I'm someone else's midnight roses and nevers and bars. For all the world is covered in edited phrases. The walls of metropolitan art galleries, ceilings. It leaves me cold. Shit, it's so hard to talk about. The end of the structure is a hole through which you can see the jewels of heaven, of Havilah and Eden, Ravensbrook, Wadi el Natrun. It is necessary to fight them in the streets of eternity, my nouns and verbs. But don't desert. I have a theory of art. This is somebody else's life. You just stitch wings on and throw them inside us. A final shot lingers on the structure as it sinks into the orange final museum. There's no language anymore. It has to be invented all over again. Disintegration right to the innermost core. The yellow giants undulate, grow disproportionately tall, contort their bodies and then shrink under a flickering light that accentuates their oniric aspects. They'll call it internet porn, someone else's experience. And in the midst of it all, our love stands unhurt as the bullets pass through them like simple statements of fact. Thank you.